Good evening, everyone. Starting tonight's public comment session. If you'll come up, the first 5 speakers, we would appreciate it. We'll start with Carolina Putri. And if we could have you line up, we would appreciate it. And it's 3 minutes per person.
Hello, my name is Carolina Putri. I've come back today since you guys like to speak about, oh my God, people come up to me all the time, trust me. You know what happened on October 7th? I know you guys did it. You like to label everyone as a terrorist. As an Indonesian, a Southeast Asian, you guys like to put labels on every single person. Up East Asia, Left Asia. I know it's disheartening for especially people like me, you know. My whole life, I've always advocated for peace. I've always advocated for other people. I've always advocated for the truth. But instead, you know, I never thought people will come up to me today and be like, you're a terrorist, right? And I'm just wondering to myself, like, what did I did, you know? The genocide that has been continued for over 75 years, and people have just stayed silent. And it's really disheartening. Our president, Prabowo, have sent troops to Palestine to help with the genocide that's happening because people are being killed. Women, men, children, Indonesian people, my own people, they go to Indonesia. I mean, they go to the Palestine people and Indonesia too to help the Palestinians, but no, they get killed. You only think it's Palestinians getting killed, it's other type of people. Gay people, it doesn't matter. And you know who they're getting killed by? The IDF, Israel. But no one wants to think about that. No one wants to speak about that. I know till the day I die, I don't know when, I will always speak for the people. And for the people, it's Palestinians getting killed. Now with Indonesian people, our own troops going to Palestine, you know, you call Hamas terrorists. What are you going to call us now? Hamas 2.0? What next derogatory label you're going to put on us now? You call Arabs terrorists. You call Upper Asia, you know, slanted eyes. You call my people dirty Asians. What's next? I'm just waiting for the labels to stack up. The stereotypes you have on people, just like us, like many other people over here. Just say you don't care. If you have an Israel flag, you have it on your Facebook banner, you have it on your LinkedIn profile, just say you support white supremacy. I'm being honest here. I know. You're like, oh my God, yeah, I am saying that, you know? Like I always say, free Palestine. America needs to get out of Palestine and free Palestine. Thank you.
If we could have our speakers line up, we would appreciate it. First 5, please.
Good evening. You've been speaking about reforming missing middles, form, and massing. Daniel Perolik inspired a housing movement when he coined the term missing middle. Perolik says, only 1 in 5 cities implement missing middle correctly. His concern is if initial results don't deliver attainability, it'll draw backlash. Missing middle is not simply about density. An important aspect of successful missing middle is thoughtful form and scale. Perolik identifies the #1 mistake in missing middle as allowing types and build-out scenarios that don't deliver attainability and livability. What not to allow? Slot homes or townhomes placed perpendicular to the street. They deliver low livability and bad neighborhood form. Livability refers to quality of life for both those living in the new homes and those in the adjacent homes. It's important to prohibit these or you won't be able to deliver housing at affordable price points. Raleigh's missing middle makes this mistake. You can see it in the proposal the Woodcrest neighbors brought to your attention over a year ago. Here we see the front and backyard of a home before missing middle. Here is after missing middle moves in. The massing looms over the neighbor. Good infill has primary windows facing the street or rear yard. These face directly at and over the neighborhood. Good scale stops at a certain lot depth, leaving shared space to mitigate concerns about privacy in rear yards. Desirable urban neighborhoods in cities like London have this mid-block green space that allows for tree canopy, water filtration, and peace of mind. It maximizes livability while delivering good urbanism. We can all agree there's nothing gentle about this density. The good news is you can fix it. Slot homes were invented to maximize square footage and profits, not good design. Take Parolic's advice and prohibit them. Denver recently prohibited them. Their city council called them an abuse of the zoning code. It only takes one of you to make a motion directing staff to bring you a text change prohibiting slot homes. Do you support the number one mistake of missing middle? Or do you want to prohibit it? Let the voters know where you stand. I've sent you all the details in an email which includes Parolic's discussion of tall skinnies, which refers to building multiple full-size homes on a single lot, the other half of the number one mistake of missing middle. These should also be prohibited to implement the same size restrictions they have in Portland, Oregon, which your staff refers to all the time. Thank you.
Speaker 3, 4, and 5. Is Josh Bradley here? Okay, Speaker 4.
Thank you. Good evening, members of council. I stand before you today not only as a concerned citizen deeply troubled by recent actions taken by this council, but also as a candidate for at-large seat in the upcoming election. I've refer to the rising crime in our city under your watch, but specifically decisions to increase your own salaries, extend your terms from 2 to 4 years, and reject additional representation on this council, all without allowing the citizens of Raleigh to vote on the matter. First and foremost, I believe that public service is a privilege, not a self-serving opportunity. In 2022, the council voted to increase their own salaries by 58% and sent a message to the citizens of Raleigh that their needs and voices were secondary to personal gain. In a time when many Raleigh residents are facing economic challenges, this decision appears out of touch and self-serving. It erodes the trust and fosters cynicism among the very people you were elected to serve. Furthermore, the extension of your terms from 2 to 4 years and the decision to vote against increasing the number of representatives on this council without a public vote are deeply concerning. Democracy thrives on regular accountability and responsiveness to the electorate. By doubling the length of your terms, you diminish the frequency with which you are directly answerable to the voters. This action undermines the democratic principles of transparency and accountability, making it harder for citizens to express their satisfaction or dissatisfaction with your performance. Look at the graph in front of you. Why would a city council that has allowed Raleigh to rise in $2 billion in debt, diminish the Veterans Day and Christmas parades, let our infrastructure crumble, keep our first responder staffing low, and their pay the lowest in the state, which has led to rising murder, rising rape, and just in this year alone, 39 instances of human trafficking? Why would we allow you to have longer terms and stifled representation? These decisions were made in direct opposition to the input from citizens of Raleigh, who told you in 2022 and 2024 that we didn't want you to have longer terms and that we wanted more representation. And you ignored us. We asked that you at least put the measures to a vote so we could say that we had a choice, and you ignored us. The people of the city deserve a voice in decisions that fundamentally alter the structure and operation of our local government. I feel that I can be that voice on the next city council. I plan to raise our first responder and city worker pay by reallocating funds from unnecessary and overpaid expenditures so the citizens of Raleigh don't foot the bill, making the city safer. I plan on donating my pay to Raleigh high schoolers in the form of scholarships for those who want to learn the trades and go into STEM. I also plan to help us gain more housing faster. I encourage everyone listening to go to electjamesbledsoe.com and vote Bledsoe for Raleigh 2024. Thank you.
Ms. Rainey?
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the planning committee, the planning department for planning the Planning Academy. I completed the Planning Academy, and I would like to say it was very educational. It refreshing a lot of things for me, but what I liked about it all, it gave us the challenge to ask questions. So my 2 questions that I asked during the Planning Academy was, number 1, I would like to see SROs become a part of the housing. I don't know what's taking so long with that, why there is a problem, but SROs is needed. It is a part of your housing stock. I don't know what the problem is, but we need to get busy because SROs is needed, and whatever this policy problem we're having, we need to get that straight and put it on the books. So when you talk about townhouses or any other housing, you talk about SROs. SROs deserve to be on your transit corridors. SROs deserves to be in College Park. So I don't understand it. I really don't understand what the problem is with SROs. I support them 150%. They are needed. And if it's a stereotype about crime, that's not true. SROs don't bring crime. They don't bring crime. It is housing. It is housing, and it is needed in this day and time. The second thing I want to talk about is that when you look at infill development, and I'm very serious, in College Park, where I stay, if you have 4 houses in a block, infill development says it changed the character of your block. So if you build 4 more houses, it changed the block. So I'm very concerned about infill development and saying changes the character. My house is a ranch style, so all around me, the houses are going to heaven. So my house don't fit the character. They don't. My house don't. It just don't fit the character. Madam Mayor, something wrong with that picture. Something wrong with that picture. So I would like for those 2 issues to really, really be looked at, and we must make SROs a part of our housing.
Okay, next we have speaker 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nicole Williams.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here today on behalf of the unhoused. I appreciate all local representatives, churches, groups, and individuals who have contributed and continue to assist the unhoused with meals and other resources. Because of you, many who had not now have. Be that as it may, there is still work to be done. As you know, numerous families still remain unhoused, and we are in the middle of a heat crisis which requires extensive water intake and cooling methods. Some groups who normally pass out water downtown, such as students, are away for summer and cannot assist in this effort, and many of us have our hands full with our own families and may not be able to assist. I understand. However, for those of us who can, I hope you will consider getting together with friends, family, co-workers, and/or mutual groups to aid your brothers and sisters to stay safe, fed, and hydrated this horrendously hot summer. I ask that you consider providing donations of water bottles, cooling cloths, individual hand fans, flip-flops, and cooler clothing to the drop-in shelter at 510 Harrington Street, the Salvation Army Shelter for Families, Moore Square Park, or Moore Square Station, as some families are on a waiting list to get into shelters and struggle to afford hotel fees. One mother this week that I met has been on a waiting list for 2 months with her 5 children, and one of her young children suffered a seizure in the devastating heat just last week. And my friend Mrs. C, who is 70, her dementia seems to be getting worse with the heat as well. The drop-in shelters are not meeting the need of all individuals who are without a place to stay either. I am unable to assist anyone in a place to stay, as I still don't have one of my own. But as I believe in leading by example, for several days of the past 2 weeks, I have passed out water, juice, chips, and sandwiches to help feed those in need and are less mobile or confined to a more square station out of my own pocket. 32 bottles of water or 30 sandwiches goes a long way, though it is short of fulfilling the need of all whom are in need in that location. If I, an unhoused person without income and resources, can sacrifice and do this on a SNAP budget of under $300 a month, you can too. All it takes is putting a thought into action. If we all contribute a little individually, together we will greatly impact the war against thirst and hunger in the city of Raleigh, a lot. No one deserves to be without these essentials. Storms are coming and people need a safe haven from the rain, thunder, and lightning. If a plan can be made to prepare for this, possibly in the form of providing hotel rooms, especially for families and children, it would be greatly appreciated. Remember, the fight is against poverty, not the poor. Let us make sure it is not them getting beat up. May God bless and keep you always. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see Mama Kai here, or do, oh, there you are. Okay.
Thank you. It's another amazing day in paradise, y'all. Thank you for your service. And I really mean that too. I know I've been talking about how punitive this administration has been, and I'm almost done with that. But before I do, I need to say I don't think people realize how challenging what you do is. Y'all deal with some stuff, and I can admit I'm among it. As a superhero mom, I can separate who you are from the decisions you make, though. Because I can regulate my nervous system, I can still respect you, even if I don't respect, agree with, or understand some of your decisions. That's probably why I can honestly say I've had beautiful experiences with each of you, some public, mostly private. Some were short moments and others were more significant. I really appreciate each one of you. Anyway, I know I'm probably going to trigger some nervous systems, perhaps even my own. I brought you bubbles. They can help you regulate. Since you can't get those now, please take a few deep breaths if you get activated. It's the quickest way to reset. Let me continue. Tonight, I'm going to close out my monologue on punitive versus collaborative. I really didn't know where this was going when I started. I was speaking what was heavy on my heart. I celebrate this conclusion by me and Wisdom twinning in our Big Ideas Raleigh City Connect Series t-shirts, because I've got big ideas to connect the city to. Shout out and thank you to Dan Bagley for the t-shirts. Neighborhood Enrichment hosted an epic event on Saturday. That's where these t-shirts came from. You should check out the Big Ideas Raleigh podcast too. Instead of focusing on the punitive, I'm going to provide 3 examples of how you collectively can work collaboratively with citizens moving forward. 1, during public comment sessions, you can let people finish speaking even if their time runs out. You not only have the power to diminish time, you can also choose to augment time, occasionally, which shows how much you respect the sacrifices your citizens have made to get here and speak. In fact, if my time runs out, if it's required, I would appreciate one of you making a motion to let me finish. There are only 22 speakers, and it's possible not all of them will be here. What I'm speaking on is important enough for me to ask you to let me finish. 2, this is a more personal form of collaboration, because while you're on break, I'll be continuing to work on eliminating homelessness, internally and externally. Since homelessness doesn't take a break, holiday, or vacation, I will formally launch the Coalition for Compassionate Housing as a nonprofit this summer. This is the plan I presented to the Homelessness Task Force last year as a member of it and at the recommendation of the mayor. It was completely ignored. Now, over a year has passed since that meeting, and homelessness has increased. I've emailed an outline of the plan, which centers the community as the solution to eliminating homelessness. It's on my blog, too. I'm not asking you to validate it. I'm asking you to validate me. I know our city can eliminate homelessness without government money, but it would help me if I had your influence to do it.
Thank you.
May I continue?
then I have to give everybody the same amount of time. So those are the rules. I'm sorry, Mama Kai.
Okay, you don't, but okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Question before I start. What happened to the Prince Hall District hearing? It's not happening? I'm talking about the Prince Hall District hearing. Wasn't that a separate hearing?
We just referred it out of committee from the discussion. We had nothing happen with Prince Hall.
Eugene Myrick, Southeast Raleigh, Biltmore Hills resident. So I was here for the hotel hearing, and normally, Mayor, you give me an opportunity to speak, but I guess you didn't want to hear me today, but that's cool. I'm here for it. This is not, anyway. Jonathan, are we still having these hearings? What is this for? This was for earlier, but I guess I could still speak on it. There's still no parking. There's no parking, emissions problems, everything with this hotel, and y'all still kicking it down the road. Jonathan, you sat there at that committee meeting getting false information. You said you had information that was not true. Then you had the guy who's the realtor who says he represents the church and he represents all these people, but he's not an owner. So is he filling out surveys? Then the other lady, but he's selling Shaw University property, might I add. Then you have the other lady who says, oh, Blunt Street is a dump and I'm the owner, but her name is nowhere on the deed. Y'all getting false information in regards to the Prince Hall District, and y'all still looking to eliminate it. And Councilman Branch, I gave you out and you refused to take it. You know good and well the planning commissioner recused himself and his spouse has been on your payroll, so you should recuse yourself. But you're trying to kick it further down the road. But that's how you move. Just like you have Councilmember Black who's in charge of the Human Relations Commission, and instead of letting her make the motion for the African American Committee, you jumped in front of her so you can act like you're doing something for the Black community. That's how you move. So with that being said, I just would like to say it's going to get real interesting this summer. I keep trying to tell y'all, Black voters matter. Y'all act like our communities don't care. Y'all kicking this Prince Hall thing down the road, and the hotel in particular. Y'all kicking it down the road in hopes of eliminating the Prince Hall District based off of false information. The information that y'all are getting is false. The guy says he represents, but he said he represents the church, but he didn't say he represents the 80-year-old Black lady who, when I called her office, said, oh, my realtor has me under contract with a developer. So this is how Black people are being used to get rid of the Prince Hall District. The mayor keeps saying she don't care about surface parking lots, but she's gone. She got her supersized slush fund waiting on her. The rest of y'all are going to be here, if y'all going to be here. Black voters matter, and it's going to be a lot of fun this summer leading up to November. It's going to be a bumpy ride for some of y'all, Councilman Branch. Buckle up, sweetheart.
Good evening. My name is Keisha Monk. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I apologize for regurgitating the same talking points, but I guess as long as the Prince Hall discussion keeps getting kicked down the road, I'll have more opportunities to try to convince you. I obviously oppose to the potential elimination of the Prince Hall District, Raleigh's first African-American historical district. This district is not just a collection of buildings. It is a living testament to the rich history and enduring legacy of African-American culture in our city. Eliminating this historic district would be a grave disservice to our community, erasing the physical reminders of the struggles and triumphs of those who came before us. The Prince Hall District holds stories of generations who fought for equality and built a vibrant, thriving community in the face of adversity. These stories are integral to our city's identity and must be preserved for future generations. So instead of erasing this historic district, we should look for innovative ways to revitalize it and to celebrate it. I heard the mayor, very impassioned about the poor empty parking lots. Like, what are we going to do with those? Well, I have a couple of ideas, because there are a couple of empty lots scattered throughout the Prince Hall district, but they really do present an incredible opportunity. Just imagine transforming these spaces into community gardens, public art installations, small business incubators that honor the district's rich history. We could even create vibrant public spaces that foster community engagement. We can provide some green spaces, since so much of this development is wiping away our trees in the Oak City. Just support local entrepreneurs. Furthermore, we can establish cultural centers and museums in these areas to educate residents and visitors about the significant contributions of African Americans to our city's history. And by repurposing these parking lots, we not only preserve the district's historical significance, but we can breathe new life into the community, making it dynamic and an inclusive space for all. We really do have a responsibility to protect and celebrate the diversity that makes Raleigh unique. Preserving the Prince Hall District is not just about maintaining buildings. I'll say it again. It is about acknowledging and respecting the contributions of African Americans to this city's history. It's about ensuring that our children and our grandchildren can walk through the district and feel a connection to their heritage and a sense of pride in their community. Come on, y'all, let's stand together to protect and revitalize the Prince Hall District, honoring our past and ensuring a vibrant, inclusive future for all of Raleigh. Thank you.
Speaker 10 and 11, please.
It's Alex, not Al. I'm here to speak to the ordinances passed by this body regarding the shuttering of over a dozen businesses on Glenwood South. I'd like to bring home 2 points. Point 1, police leadership has somehow convinced you that the street vendors on Glenwood are part of either the noise or the violence problems on weekends. I'm really not sure which of these problems we're party to. That seems to be a moving target. My first point is to let you know that this is a false narrative. I don't care how many decades of experience Raleigh PD leadership brings to the table. They have not spent the last nearly 10 years on the avenue almost every weekend, as I have. Let me emphasize this. I am out there, and the vendors are not pockets of seething violence as they would have you believe. I have lost count of how many young people I have helped get home at the end of the night by charging their phones so they can contact friends, family, or Ubers. How many IDs and wallets I've returned to people by finding them on Facebook. How many young women congregate near us while they wait for their rides because we are pockets of civilization and safety at the end of the night. Closing us at 1:15 is akin to making a lunch counter close at noon. It has killed our businesses. The whole business endeavor is now almost unsustainable. The measures you have taken are an out-and-out attack on small business, and it's based on a false narrative. Part of the increased police presence on the avenue spends their time going from stand to stand, harassing and threatening the operators rather than policing the many thousands of clubgoers. In one neat trick, they have turned us into the criminals that they monitor. With the exception of one lieutenant who really enjoys his job, the rank and file officers perform this duty grudgingly. They know how wrong it is. Point 2, let us assume that in some alternate reality, the hot dog stands are a threat by their very existence, as you must have been led to believe. In that case, I question the police leadership's response. In many places, the police follow a motto of to protect and serve. Raleigh PD seems to add, unless you don't count, to that motto. If these imaginary violent individuals really exist at our locations at the end of the night, shouldn't they protect and serve the rest of us who are either trying to make a living or buy a hot dog? It seems to me that gas station convenience stores get robbed all the time. Raleigh's police department answer would be to shut them down. Banks get robbed, shut down the banks. It's easier. Crabtree Valley Mall causes traffic snarls and accidents in December, so shorten their hours that month. Problem solved. That's never going to happen. You know it, and I know it, because they count. We apparently don't. So shut us down with your ordinances. But don't pretend to believe that it is in any way for the public safety. You do it because we're small enough for you to get away with it. We just don't count.
Speaker 11 and then 13, please.
Good evening. My name is Ian Burnett. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in support of a forgivable housing loan program for city employees, an idea that is in line with the council's goal for workforce investment. In a simplified sense, the city government's main role is to manage public infrastructure and provide critical services to Raleigh's residents, businesses, and visitors. As with any private company, the quality and timeliness of services provided correspond to the employee's skills and experience. With long-term projects, of which Raleigh has many underway, tenure has a significant impact where accumulated knowledge and relationships are critical to success. For these reasons, forgivable housing loans are common in the private sector to attract and retain employees. These programs are typically structured so that a fraction, say 20%, is forgiven each year conditional upon continuing to meet job expectations. And this amount is then treated as taxable income for the employee. If they leave before the loan term is up, they owe the remaining balance back. For first-time home buyers or people struggling to get back into home ownership, this cash infusion can provide the necessary capital to make a significant down payment, improving the viability of their offer and lowering their overall mortgage. These are both critical given that down payments are often cited as the largest barrier to home ownership, while any reduction in principal is significant for ongoing affordability. Importantly, forgivable housing loans already exist in municipalities nearby. Chapel Hill has a program for all town employees, and Fayetteville has one for police officers, with discussions to expand eligibility to all city employees. I want to note that both programs are designed to help the employees live in the communities they serve. Starting such a program here would benefit city employees, the city as employer, and all of us who live or do business here in Raleigh. For the employee, home ownership provides stability and the opportunity for building wealth. For Raleigh and those who rely on city services, the benefit is widespread. All jobs have a learning curve before the new employee is independently productive, and this can range from months to a year or more, depending on the complexity of processes, relationships, and institutional knowledge. This training period also impacts the productivity and morale for established employees, potentially creating more turnover. All of this means that vacancies and onboarding are expensive, and as a result, lowering turnover is one of the most cost-effective ways for an organization to provide high-quality and efficient services. A forgivable housing loan program can achieve this by incentivizing employees to commit to the long term, benefiting their departments and us, the public, who rely on their work. With all that goes into developing and managing a rapidly growing and vibrant city such as ours, attracting and retaining quality employees ensures that our tax dollars are being used effectively and responsibly. My request is that you develop a forgivable housing loan program for all city employees and roll it out in the next budget period with a pilot to study the administration, implementation, and benefits in real time for a diverse group of participants, housing types, and neighborhoods. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Speaker 13.
I got a question. Hello, everyone. My name is Orphy Estrada. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for giving me the chance to be here with you all. I'm here because I got two properties in Raleigh. The first one is where my family lives. It's a mobile home. And the second one is a vacant lot. It's located behind the first property, but it has water and electricity. I let my friend stay on this lot because he lost his job. He's living with his family on a RV. He got another job, but it's not enough to pay the rent and feed his family. That's why I let my friend to let him stay on this property. And the reason that I'm here is because one of the city inspector came to my property and he said that I'm not allowed to have anybody living on this lot because it's a vacant lot, and also they don't allow to any people live on RVs on the city of Raleigh. My friend is not going to stay here forever. He's just trying to get himself together and then move out. It may take a month or a year. So I'm asking you for permission to have the RV on the second lot. Thank you very much.
City Manager, could you follow up with that? Thank you. Next, we have speaker 14, 15, and 16. If you could come up, please.
Hey, y'all. My name is Cindy Lowe. I'm here on behalf of many like-minded constituents to request a full ban on the use of exotic animals like tigers and elephants in circuses and other exhibitions in Raleigh. There's ample documentation that these circuses treat their animals inhumanely and threaten public safety. Tigers have attacked handlers in front of children, and as recently as April of this year, a circus elephant in Montana escaped its enclosure and ran down a busy highway through traffic. Instances like these cause public uproar, lawsuits, and costly damages, so imagine the implications of a circus elephant running loose on Capitol Boulevard. Many of these circuses also have multiple Federal Animal Welfare Act violations, yet they're able to continue touring due to a lack of local enforcement, which is why I am here tonight urging you to action. Charlotte and Asheville have already passed local ordinances banning circuses with exotic animals to protect their residents and represent the interests of the masses. It is noteworthy that the passing of these bans corresponded with re-elections of the mayors and council members involved in making these decisions. This weekend, Loomis Brothers Circus is bringing wild animals into our city to perform at the state fairgrounds. The wild animal ordinance passed by this council that should have prevented the transportation of their exotic animals through city limits sadly exempted Loomis Brothers as they technically have proper federal permits. However, as I mentioned, federal regulations are inadequate, as is the current local ordinance, and neither prevents animal abuse or threats to public safety from occurring in circuses. Their animals are abused through fear-based training, extremely confined housing, inadequate.
Thank you. Your time's up. 3 minutes? Yes. You can email us your full comments. Yep. Thank you. Did you, clerk?
Did it start as soon as I started walking?
No. Just hold on a second. She's checking. Do you know what? Okay, 1:11 left.
Thank you. Other examples too graphic to describe are used to abuse animals in this circus. It brings people into dangerously close proximity to wild animals that are under extreme stress and forced into hyper-stimulating environments. And the vendor that Loomis Brothers supplies its elephants from has a proven record of tuberculosis outbreaks in the past. So has COVID taught us nothing about the dangers of zoonotic diseases? Now, while this council does not have jurisdiction over state fairgrounds, it has the ability to follow examples like Charlotte and Asheville to enact legislation to protect its residents. This industry is inhumane, severely outdated, and I am formally asking this council set a full ban on performances with exotic animals. Thank you for your time.
Speaker 15. Is Dr. Mokhtarian here? Okay.
The city apologizes to you, my dear, for that mishap. You may not get it from leadership. Dr. Kimberly Mokhtarian, first of all, let me say thank you, City Councilman, for passing the African American Affairs Board. Woohoo! Yay. Thank you so much. Hope that it saves more lives. I'm here today because there has been an extreme discussion on youth violence. And as a teacher, I understand the concept of what violence have become in my community, but I would be remiss if I did not go back to the origins of the city of Raleigh and how it was historically established by Sir Walter Raleigh, who was a pirate, who stole, murdered, killed, and put blacks in slavery because it is he who introduced tobacco to England, who needed a labor base. And so he was able to retrieve millions of slaves, and I know that most of America likes to focus its attention on removing Confederate statues, but unfortunately they forgot one. It is Sir Walter Raleigh. And today, instead of blaming our youth for the violence that they are inflicting upon themselves because they are absolutely miserable in a city that is number 3rd in the nation to live, we are asking you to remove Sir Walter Raleigh's statue off of the mounds of Salisbury Street in front of the Raleigh Convention Center because it sends a distasteful message or a hypocrisy to say that we are trying to unify, but we also uphold statues that are very dangerous to society. And I would ask you, just like I believe Josephus Daniels was moved from Nash Square, we are now asking that you remove Sir Walter Raleigh. If I could recall, my very own mayor hosted Unity in the Community when she first took the seat. And while she held Unity in the Community, we stood outside right where he stood and we protested. Why? Because we can't have unity if we don't have reconciliation of the wrong that has been done. So we're asking you to remove Sir Walter Raleigh. Board members on that board, we would ask you to take lead on that. I believe our very own council member Branch is on the board, and we have already had an incident where there has been some issues, so I will send that email tonight. Again, on Saturday, members of Rock Quarry Corridor came together to talk about what we wanted to see on that street, and we look forward to
Thank
having
you.
a meeting.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Now, you know what time it is. It's time for you to...
Please. Next, we have speaker 16. Speaker 16. Please show respect for others who are waiting to speak. Thank you. Speaker 16, thank you.
Hi, my name is Zoe Garcia Shelton, and I live in District B. I've lived in Raleigh for most of my life, so I've seen how quickly the city has developed from a local perspective. Living on the northeast side of Raleigh's borders, I have also seen how development is handled as it strays from downtown. Beautiful forests surrounded my community, and it allowed for a more sustainable area and, secondly, a feeling of nature that only natural ecosystems can fulfill. As a result of Raleigh's swift development, the majority of surrounding nature has been cut down and replaced with mass apartment complexes. However, I understand that development and housing are among Raleigh's priorities, and that removing natural ecosystems is necessary to some extent in order for the city to grow. My issue manifests when the exchange is not fair. One of the best examples I have seen is a still developing neighborhood near my house, 541 North. I was excited to see its plans because they were different from other projects. It would be its own community, including commercial aspects like a grocery store, a plethora of restaurants and local businesses, and generally many things contributing to reduced car usage and emissions, as well as less crowded roads. I thought this exchange for a local and self-sustaining community in place of nature was fair enough, especially considering Raleigh's rapid growth. To my disappointment, 541 North became a mass housing area with a crowded array of apartments, townhouses, houses, and few businesses. What was initially supposed to benefit my community, while simultaneously supporting Raleigh's development goals, became a way to house more people as quickly as possible. 541 North fell short of my expectations as a local and as well as my expectations for how Raleigh would go about development, considering how the city continually emphasizes plans to grow sustainably. This is a familiar tale in my community, and I've seen how this issue is throughout the entire city. This should not be the norm anymore. Long-standing communities are being burdened with a loss of ecosystems and biodiversity for the sole purpose of housing more people. And by the way, the rents in this area is still incredibly high. I would like the city to consider and prioritize the protection of local communities and natural ecosystems. Nature could be an integral part of new neighborhoods, making them more sustainable and worthwhile uses of space. Please don't allow this mistake to be made over and over again. We have a unique opportunity to build Raleigh into a more sustainable city and set an example for other developing cities across America, and we should take that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Is speaker 17 and 18 here? I did not see. Okay, you're hiding on me.
I'm a volunteer at Wake County Animal Center. I've already talked to the Wake County commissioners, and now I'd like to talk to the Raleigh residents. Since late 2022, the Wake County Animal Center has been operating at or above capacity. This means more animals are housed in the shelter than it was designed for, resulting in conditions that are not deemed humane. For instance, when I was there last weekend, every single kennel was full, including dividing all the remaining kennels to accommodate that overflow. This crisis isn't unique to Wake County, it's national. Despite these changes, we are working on multiple angles so that no animal should face euthanasia simply because of space limitations. But that promise is getting harder to keep. Wake County stands alone in its broad mandate, accepting strays, quarantine cases, cruelty cases, protective custody cases, and dangerous dogs. They are required to house these animals at the center. You can imagine what this does to their capacity when they have to take in 140 cats from a hoarding situation. Our transfer partners have steadily decreased the number of animals that they pull from us. Access to affordable spay-neuter services is dwindling despite available funding. Many vets prefer long-term clients over voucher-based services. Even free adoptions are not solving this problem. While plans for a new facility offer hope in the future, the real solution lies in reducing the number of animals in our care. Currently, our shelter is responsible for 635 animals. But here's how you can help make a difference. Avoid surrendering your pet. The likelihood of a surrendered animal being euthanized due to lack of space is higher than that of strays. There are resources on the shelter's webpage that can help you keep your pet. If you find a stray, help locate its owner. Again, there are a lot of resources on the city's web or on the shelter's webpage. Start with a visit to the vet to scan for a microchip. Consider fostering an animal. It's free. All supplies and vet services are provided. There will be a training tomorrow night at the center from 6 to 9. You don't have to register, just show up. The last one was held on Saturday. It was packed. And of that training, 21 animals walked out the door. Fostering is our best solution to this problem. Here's your chance to try out adopting a dog. You know, you get cuddles, we get space. In the words of Dr. Federico, our center's director, this situation is dire. Each day, more animals arrive in our care that leave. To encourage adoptions, all adoption fees are waived for all of the animals on the floor until July 7th. Thank you for your attention and support of our community animals.
Thank you. Speaker 1920.
Good evening. Number 19. I stand here tonight to address an urgent of an injustice and discrimination that demand your attention. Recently, Palestinian hostages been released by the IOF returned showing clear signs of mental and physical abuse, torture to death for some cases, lose parts of their bodies, lose their sights. In the stark contrast, Israeli hostages released by Palestinian groups were well-fed and healthy. This discrepancy highlights the severe human rights violation regardless of political divides. The abuse of hostages is unacceptable and must be condemned. We must demand accountability and adherence to human treatment as outlined by international laws. I also wanted to address a disturbing incident happened in Texas, reported as an attack on a white family by a Muslim woman. Since I got your attention, the victim were actually Palestinian American and the attacker was a white woman. She tried to kill the two children aged 3 years old and 6 years old. The 6-year-old managed to escape with his mom, and the 3-year-old almost died. This horrifying act of violence is a stark reminder of the pervasive racism that plagues our society. The initial misidentification of the family race reflects deep bases that need to be confronted and eradicated. The lack of swift action by the Texas City Council to address such a hateful violence is unacceptable. And we're gonna see those incidents. We've been seen this incident since October, going like higher and higher because of people like you, Mayor number 62. In light of these events, I call upon this council to condemn the mistreatment of Palestinian hostages, to urge international accountability, support initiative and legislation that protect all individuals from racial and religiously motivated violence, promote awareness and education on importance of human treatment and the right of all people, strengthen our local policies to ensure swift and just responses to hate crimes and support victims. We must lead by example, showing that our community stands firmly against abuse, violence, and discrimination in all forms together. We can foster more just, compassionate, and equitable society for all. Free Palestine from the river to the sea.
We have speaker 20.
Good evening, Council. I'm Deborah Mullis.
And I'm Ethan Gabriel.
And we're representing Activate Good. And I want to start by thanking the Council and specifically Mayor Marianne Baldwin so much for the funding you've already appropriated to Activate Good for our youth programming. We really appreciate it. And today we want to talk to you about the greater needs our organization has for youth programming. So if you're not familiar with Activate Good, we are a local nonprofit that wants to help everybody get more involved and make it easier, because we envision a world where it's easy for everyone to help make their community a better place, and that includes youth. We all know after the COVID-19 pandemic, we've been experiencing a loneliness epidemic, and that's been impacting youth even in a greater way than adults. And that's also contributed to rising youth violence, like people have discussed earlier in today's public comment session. And we believe our programming is a great solution both for loneliness, mental health issues, and for youth violence, because it offers a great positive outlet in the community to make an impact and address issues and causes that are impacting our fellow community members. And we have, that's supported by research from the U.S. Surgeon General and our parent organization, Points of Light. So my coworker Ethan, he is the head of our youth programs, and he's going to explain a little bit more about our Youth Volunteer Corps.
Yes, thank you again. So for Activate Good, we have been very fortunate to host the first ever Youth Volunteer Corps affiliate in North Carolina, the Youth Volunteer Corps of the Greater Triangle, where we create service opportunities for those ages 11 to 18 that teach life and leadership skills. So we always try to make every service project meaningful and insightful for all of our volunteers, to keep them volunteering beyond just the quota that they would need to either graduate school or whatever extracurricular requirements that they need. Through that, we have our Summer of Service, where we have been, last year we held 11 projects across the summer that helped over 10 causes, and this year we plan to almost triple that number. In June alone, we were able to do 6 projects that was able to get over 200 hours served to the community over 5 causes, and we plan to only grow that. We've been very fortunate to have over 800 students interested in our program across 4 counties, and we only plan to have that grow more and more, and also have that move into the school year, where we plan to have about 3 to 5 projects a month, and also increase school partnerships, and also even would love to partner with the brand new youth division that was developed in the city of Raleigh as well.
So we were requesting $10,000 on top of the existing funding you gave, and we really think this can help us take our youth programs to the next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker 21.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Preservation and public trust. Our historic fabric has been under threat for decades, and it's getting threadbare in areas, particularly areas associated with the African American experience in downtown Raleigh. When Raleigh finally recognized the cultural impact and importance of the contributions of its African American citizens through the designation of the Prince Hall Historic District, it made a public statement that we valued the significant role that our fellow citizens made in the growth and development of our city, in the struggle for economic and social equality, and in the birth of the national civil rights movement. With the designation comes a promise to future generations to love, cherish, and protect the places where history was made. The designation was not created in a vacuum. It was not created for individual benefit. It was born of citizen input and stakeholder involvement and designed to outlast current title to individual properties. These efforts should be honored in perpetuity. The comprehensive plan states that each dollar spent on rehabilitation creates more local jobs than new construction, and more of these dollars stay in the local economy. Historic preservation is also the necessary first step to capitalize on the city's immense yet unrealized potential for heritage tourism. There's a current perception that HOD status limits growth potential and capital gain on both residential and commercial properties thus protected. This is simply not the case. HOD status provides the predictability and stability upon which free markets thrive, not by protecting surface parking and vacant parking lots, but by guiding what might one day occupy those vacant spaces and mitigating their impact on the existing historic context and fabric. Public perception is that HODs limit use. They do not. They are mute on use. Use and height are governed by the underlying zoning districts such as R1 through 10 and the various mixed-use districts, residential, office, mixed-use, downtown, etc. Historic status and overlay zoning does not begin and end with current property owners or transfer of ownership. This arrangement was made with considerable stakeholder input from property owners and citizens, and the precious resource protected by a historic district should not be nibbled away for private gain through extractive colonialism. The certainty of an HOD designation is a guarantee of stability from the people, for the people, and by the people. Thank you.
Okay, Speaker 22.
Good evening. Just wanted to thank Activate Good. I'm going to reach out to you for my Girl Scout troop. Always looking for volunteer opportunities for them. Wanted to thank council for everything you do. I know sometimes we come at you a lot. Learned that in my Raleigh Citizens Academy class. If anyone is interested in learning more, I would please urge you guys to join for that or the Citizens College. I'm going to be taking that course this year, and I've learned a lot about the city. And I wanted to thank city staff. I've been calling in to figure out how to navigate the website. They really helped out in finding city managers' archives, and I've been reading through those and appreciate the notes that you guys put up there. It helps us go back to what we need to go back to. Also wanted to thank Nicole and Mama Kai for bringing up the urgent need that we have for an house. I don't know if anyone's followed the news, but sadly, it is illegal now to be homeless. So that is something that we, as Raleigh citizens, as council members, we need to urgently take care of this situation and see what we can do in long term to help combat this. And I know we've had money allocated to help the encampments and try to get funding for those to get back on their feet. And I would love to work with anyone that's on that to help along with that. I had talked about working on getting a community fridge. Sadly, I wasn't able to partner with Raleigh Rescue Mission. They're at capacity with what they already do, but I'm looking for other partners, and especially with the heat wave that we have right now, it's a desperate need, and it's something that we can all try to do. So if you're out and about, just pop a couple of bottles the night before in the fridge, keep it in your car. I mean, anytime I drive around downtown, even other areas within Raleigh, I see so many unhoused individuals. You can just offer them at least a water bottle. And I've seen in different cities where they've given stipends that's really helped unhoused individuals get back on their feet faster. So maybe that's something that Raleigh can look into to help with their unhoused. And just wanted to leave with Huey P. Newton's one quote that's really been getting me thinking a lot about: think globally, act locally. So what's happening globally affects what's happening locally. You know, from Palestine to Sudan to Congo, Nigeria, Tigray, sadly our foreign policies make us complicit in what's happening there. And that affects the mass immigration issues, refugees, and also citizens that live here that have personal ties there. So we must do better, we can do better, and please help in this heat wave to the unhoused. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Bradley?
I think speaker number 3, 1324 Spring Lawn Court, Raleigh. Mayor and councilors, I happened to watch the presidential debate last week and was appalled. If that is the best that the two largest political parties in the United States can give us, a fascist demagogue and a fading, allegedly former racist and genocide enabler, then I feel fear for the future of this nation. It is more important than ever that the city fight for the poor, the oppressed, the homeless, and the workers. If either of the aforementioned catastrophes is elected or reelected, as case may be, it shows that the national leadership of the two capitalist parties are morally bankrupt. The working class and poor families have nothing to pin their hopes on for something better, and they may feel they have to choose between two uncaring, out-of-touch elites as to which will do the least amount of harm. In North Carolina, it's up to the city and county governments to try to restore faith in government. The General Assembly is firmly in the hands of fascists and religious extremists. The time is now to prove that government can work, that the government can serve the people. The city must use all of its resources to ensure that everyone in the city, from folks living in the woods to workers to the middle-class folks that are struggling to stay where they are. The priority of the city should not be to ensure that the wealthy can make more money. The purpose of the city is not to cultivate business, but to serve its people. We should prioritize building housing on city land. We should hire the workers and build the housing in-house to cut out the profits of the developers and other leeches. We should prioritize the services to folks that need them, whether because of disabilities, mental or physical, or addiction. That these are ways in which we can prove to the majority of people that government works for them. I ask all of you who are running again to promise to return donations to given by folks that have also donated to Trump or other far-right campaigns. Raise your hand if you will make that pledge with me. I'm 100% willing to do that in my run. If not, that's on you. If you are worried that this will significantly reduce your campaign funds, push for public funding in municipal elections so they become a context of vision and not money. Lastly, it's well past time to pass a ceasefire resolution. Tens of thousands of dead civilians cry out for justice. Listen to them. Free Palestine. Lastly, raise your hand if you have visited an encampment recently. Okay, I've got 17 seconds left, y'all. Wow. Yeah, so be moral people, stop being immoral people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of tonight's public comment. Wishing everybody a happy July 4th, and we are now adjourned.